Okay, so welcome back to another Champions Journey interview with me, Dan Holloway, where we talk about the journey of replacing your income by finding the right path for you to do so. The point of this Champions Journey interview is if you're somebody watching this and you're in a position where maybe you're not happy, not fulfilled doing what you're doing, maybe you want to create some change in your life, you want to be in control of your own income, and you want to create choice and freedom instead of being bound by trading time for money for a boss in the corporate world, for example, then this is going to be the perfect opportunity for you to see firsthand from somebody who has walked the path, replaced her income, and created the result of choice and freedom in her life to be free to spend her time how and when and where she wants it. Then yeah, this Champions Journey interview is going to give you a real insight into what that took. So I'm joined today by the fantastic Caroline Grubb, who I met for the first time. Was it about 18 months ago? I think maybe 18 to 24 months that you first clicked my ad on YouTube.
It was, in fact, it was almost 2 years. I think it's today or tomorrow since I actually signed up under you.
Is it really? Okay, yeah. I did not even know that. Genuinely, this isn't planned. Like before starting this interview, I didn't even ask this question. So that is perfect timing. So it's like it's our 2-year anniversary.
There we go. Oh, bless.
Awesome. So no, Caroline, thank you for joining me today. Like it's an absolute pleasure to talk with you about this. So I really appreciate your time. How are you doing, first of all?
I'm fabulous. Thank you. Actually, yeah, really good. Thanks, Dan. And really excited to talk to you today. So thank you.
Awesome. No, you're welcome. So just to give everyone a quick overview of who you are, what you've done, what some of your achievements are, and ultimately help paint the picture of, again, if you're someone watching this, how you might be able to learn from what Caroline's done to replace her income and create that choice and freedom in her life. Caroline came from the corporate world in IT consulting. And by the way, Caroline, please correct me if any of this is wrong. If I make
will do, no worries.
But my understanding and well, from both seeing your journey firsthand, from working with you, being involved in the same community, and also with what you shared from me today, my understanding is that you have settled on freelancing as your path to replacing your income, and now you've got to the point where you're supporting yourself financially. You've scrapped your 9-to-5, you've replaced your income, you have the freedom to choose when, where, and how much you work. You have that full flexibility, and you've done this by using skills from the corporate world, but instead of using those skills to work in a job and just earn big corporations a lot of money, you've used it to work for yourself, which is much more financially viable, and also create more meaning in what you're doing by working with people who you actually care about. So that's like, ticking 3 boxes all in one. Have I pretty much got the gist of it right?
Yeah, that works. That's perfect.
Cool. So Caroline, first of all, could you give us a bit of an idea for me and for people watching, what was life like before you came across this idea of earning money in an alternative way than trading time for money in the corporate world? What was life like before?
Yeah, so if I take you back to the year 2015, we travel back in time. Yeah, so I was an IT consultant. I was a business intelligence consultant, for anybody who knows what that means. Basically means data analysis for corporations, helping them understand how much money they're spending and how much money they're getting in, and really digging into understanding the finances behind their business. And so a lot of spreadsheet work, a lot of number crunching, project management, all that kind of stuff. And it was fine. I earned good money. I had a good life, had the life that the success formula, if you like, that we're brought up to have. I had a house, I had a sports car, nice holidays, but there was something missing, and I wasn't happy in myself, and but I didn't know what to do about it because I didn't know any other way. All my peers, my family, everybody I knew was all about, go to school, get a job, get security in your job, and then you'll have the money to, and live a nice lifestyle. But I put my teeth in, sorry. But I wasn't happy. I was single, and I'm a bit of a workaholic, because when I get into something, I give it my all, and I was giving my all to this job, and I didn't have enough, I didn't feel like I had enough time around that to live the life I wanted to live. And then a couple of things happened. First of all, I lost my job completely out of the blue. 2015, got made redundant, which I was completely surprised by, because that happens to other people, not me. You know, I was a hard worker, I was loyal, I was dependent, I'd given everything to this company, and I couldn't understand why I'd been let go. And so it suddenly made me realize that a job isn't secure, and that actually, you know, I've been slugging my guts out for this company, and they could just literally one day, you know, turn the tap off and say, right, you know, month's notice, thank you so much, it's been lovely working with you, good luck. And I was like, oh my God. And it was just a massive wake up call in my life. But once I got over the shock of that, then I was like, hang on a minute, this is actually what I really wanted, without realizing it. And it gave me that opportunity that I was really looking for, to actually sit back and say, what do I want? And is there another way of doing this? Because I didn't, you know, I was doing well in the corporate world, I was in management, and but looking forward, I didn't want to be doing that for the next 20, 30 years till retirement. I wanted to live life now. And I had a friend who had just taken a year off and gone traveling around the world, and I was like, I want to be doing that kind of stuff while I've got my, you know, that wasn't you, by the way, you came along later. Another friend, and I'd already done that before. I backpacked around the world after university, and I'd seen the world. My world had been open, my eyes had been open to the world, and I was like, I don't want to wait till retirement to do that kind of stuff. You know, I'm young, I'm fit, I'm healthy, I've got, you know, the energy and the enthusiasm to do it now. Why should I put that off until later in life? And so this was a great opportunity for me to just like take a step back and reevaluate. And I just thought, you know, money hadn't made me happy. I had enough money, and I didn't know what to do with it. I was hanging on to it because I think in the back of my mind, I knew that one day I wanted to be able to just go and do fun stuff. And so that began a journey. And I took a couple of different twists and turns. Started off by understanding what my passions were. And my passions of travel, photography, motorsport, and people. I did some work to uncover those. And so then I took a job as a cruise ship photographer, something completely different. And went off traveling the world for 3 years, learn a new career, new skills, met a whole bunch of new people who had a completely different attitude to life. And I was like, see, this is what life is about. You can still work and have fun. And then I had another massive life event, which was my best friend dying. A couple of years later, and that again shook my world, and made me really dig down again on what's really, really important to me. And I was like, life is too short, you know, there's got to be a way. So I came back from the cruise ship job because I missed my family, I missed friends and things like that. And I thought, right, now I'm ready to start finding a way to create a lifestyle. And you know, it's the live to work rather than work to live. Is that the right way around? You know what I mean?
Switching those two around.
Switching those two around. Yeah. So you know, life is for living, and so I was like, right, I've got to find a way. I've got to find a way to, you know, have as much fun as I had on the cruise ships, but I still wanted some security, financial security. You know, we need money to live, a certain amount of money. But the money wasn't important to me as long as I had enough. But the time was more important to me. So it was a time freedom. It was a freedom to have that time to do fun stuff, be with the people I love, you know, travel, have experiences. And so I was trying to find a way to do that. But still, the other thing I really wanted was to feel like my life had some meaning, and feel like the work that I was doing was having a positive impact somewhere in the world. And one of the things in the corporate world that I really found was I was doing work, and I enjoyed the work I was doing. I enjoyed the people I was working with, but I was so removed from the impact of everything I did that I couldn't see what it was actually doing in the world. And it just felt like I was just making a lot of fat cats fatter. And, you know, there's lots of poverty in the world. And I just wanted to shift that balance to something a bit more meaningful. So,
I think, I mean, just to sort of touch on a couple of things for a second. You mentioned there about, I suppose, getting clear on what you want and understanding, do you want more meaning from life? Like understanding that, you know, it's good to have the money there so that you're able to do the things that you want. But more important than that, it's the choice of what do you do with your time? What do you do with your life? And like you said, flipping that balance of instead of living to work, it's like working to live. You know, whichever way around it is, but you get the point. So I think for a lot of us that can even be the first step. You know, what is it you actually want from life, and is your current set up, like, for example, the way you earn money, which is a big part of our lives, is that allowing us to live the life that we want to live and do the things that we want to do? Because I think one of the worst things is when you're compromising in some way on what you actually want from life. Like, there's always going to be a downside. And so I always look at this kind of thing as like, if there was no compromise, what would you be doing? And I think you're the perfect example of that. You go, right, I'd like this, I'd like this, I'd like this. And you had the corporate world, then you did the cruise ship life, but there was still some form of compromise in that, which is where I suppose we get onto the next part of your story. So what happened after that?
Yeah, so after that, that's when I discovered you and the world of online business. But just before we get into that, so I quit the cruise ship job. I got these new skills as photography, and I had this desire to work for myself in some way. And when I came across you, it's because I was looking for ways to earn a living or earn an income through photography, but also while being geographically independent and time independent. I just had this real feeling of I just didn't want a noose around my neck. I didn't want to start a business that would then become, a straitjacket, because it was that freedom and flexibility that I really wanted, because I knew also I had to do some personal exploring of deep down who I really was and what I really wanted. And I was searching online for ways to try and create some business around photography. But all I could think of, because all I'd known was, and all the photographers I was surrounded by were people who did things like wedding photography, portrait photography, event photography. And I just thought, that's not what I get out of photography. I enjoy it as a skill, but I don't want to be tied down to being booked up, for a year in advance for wedding photography, for example. And I just didn't have also the business skills. I didn't know how I was going to get clients. And one of the biggest things for me as well was money. I have, really poor money mindset, or I did. And just asking other people for money just felt really, really hard for me. And that was one of the biggest obstacles I've had to overcome in being self-employed, was that knowing, that I'm worth it, that I'm, what I offer, it has value to somebody, and that they're willing to pay for it, and how much they're willing to pay for it, and all that kind of stuff. So that's been a massive part of my journey. And I discovered this world of online business, which just suited me perfectly, because it was geographically independent and working for yourself. You could automate a lot of stuff, which would give me the time freedom. And so that was it. I set off down that path. Affiliate marketing was the path I chose, because that was the most freedom and flexibility. And then I came across this community, and I suddenly met people like me out there in the world, and it was I call them my peeps. That's what I was looking for, was my peeps, people I could talk to about, there's more to life than just the 9 to 5. And I thought I was crazy. I thought I was, all my friends, I couldn't have that conversation with them, because they didn't really understand what I was looking for in life. They just kept waiting. Have you got a boyfriend yet, Caroline? Have you settled down yet, Caroline? When are the kids coming? And all this. And I'm like, life is for living now. And so when I found this community of people that were like, I've just been, I've got my business running, I'm off traveling around the world, or, I've got more time to spend with my kids and my family, and because that's what's important to me. And I'm like, yes, these people do exist.
Like, finally.
Yes, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. And that was one of the biggest things that gave me the confidence to keep going on this path, was that I knew it was possible, because I could see now it was possible. People had done it, and they were regular, normal people like me. They weren't these people who were like going off and buying Ferraris and Lamborghinis and flashing the cash, and people who were doing real meaningful stuff, helping other people, getting really fulfilled themselves, but prioritizing their values in life, which were not about just turning up to work same day, putting the suit on, getting in the car, commuting to work. I hate commuting. To me it just seems such a waste of time.
I don't think there's that many people that will be like, I love commuting, like rush hour traffic. Oh god,
let me sit in that traffic jam.
Oh, can you imagine?
It just seems crazy to me. So
exactly. So I think you're so right with that. Just what happens when you get involved with a community of people who actually think the same, and they're achieving the result that we want. And you said it yourself, like there's very little that's going to give you more belief and the ability to push on and make progress and actually start creating what it is that you want that just comes from community. And so for yourself, it's like, how would you describe the moment that you got involved in the community and you started seeing these people? Like, how would you describe the shift that happened to help you start walking that journey and actually making progress?
Oh God, it was just it was like a massive weight off my shoulders.
Yeah.
Of just like, oh my God, I'm home.
Yeah.
And it's just this real feeling of, I found my place in the world. I found the people who were going to help support me, give me all the answer to all the stuff that I kind of knew was there already, but just, it's that external validation, I suppose, that it can be done. And it was this massive feeling of relief in a way of this is possible, this is doable, I can do this. But I also had this very stubborn streak as well. Once I'd lost my job with the corporate world, I was not going back. And there was this real feeling of the only way is forward. And it's not a question of if. So I'd kind of ruled out the doubt early on of I've got to find a way, rather than shall I, shan't I, should I go back to a job? Should I go back to the corporate world because it's safe, it's comfortable, it's known, I've got contacts there. That wasn't an option for me. So it was a how can I move forward? And when I found the community that just fit me and made, that I felt comfortable in, then that was it. I was off, and I haven't looked back since.
So it's kind of like, so one step was surround yourself with people who were thinking the same thing, achieving what you wanted to achieve, like-minded. So that was one part. And then another part was like, you made it more important to achieve the result that you wanted than to like go back to the corporate world. So reword that slightly. It was like it became a must for you. You were like, there is non-negotiable that I'm going to go back to corporate world. Not happening. So the only way is forwards. And I think that's again a second lesson that a lot of us can take from this. It's like community, super important, but you've got to make it a must, because I know this from personal experience as well. Whenever I start some sort of venture or trying to achieve anything, if it's not a must, if it's still like, well, if it doesn't work, I'm going to kind of just go back to what I'm doing, or it would be nice if I could achieve it, but it's not the end of the world if I don't. Or if I'm like, I should do this. That's one of the worst words we can use. I really should, get around to figuring out how to replace my income. Not going to happen. Like, forget it. You've got to make it a must. So, what about then, Caroline, so you say you started with affiliate marketing, and obviously now we're talking about freelancing. So what happened there when you started one path, then you ended up on another? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, so I started on the affiliate marketing path, and I started on I need to educate myself on what it takes to first of all be an entrepreneur, or work for yourself, be self-employed. So there was a lot of mindset stuff. And the community that I got into, affiliate marketing was a path that the majority chose. And that's the one that was getting results. And so I thought, right, well, they're doing it. They're having the life that I want. So I'm just going to follow the crowd. If it's working for them, I'll find a way to make it work. And so I threw myself into the learning, threw myself into the community, surrounded myself with all these people, had the most amazing time. But I got to a stage after about a year when I felt like I'd hit too many brick walls. I'd overcome a lot to get to where I had. I'd been marketing, I'd marketed, I'd made some money, but something didn't feel quite right inside. I still wasn't quite sure who my market was, who this business was for. And I was also worried about running out of money, to be quite honest, because I'd been living on my savings since I quit my cruise ship job. And this was now 18 months of having no income. And it was that scarcity money mindset of like, I've got to make this work. I've just got to earn some money. And when I start earning money, then I can figure out what I really want to do, who I really want to help, And it was just this, although I tried desperately not to do that, I was just like counting down the months before I ran out of money. And it got to that stage when I was literally within a month of running out of cash to live off. I know, because you've been here as well. It was then that I let go, and I just said, right, universe, whatever, I just got to stop, because this isn't working, and I just got to see what happens. I'm trusting in I'm going to survive. I've survived before. What's the worst that can happen? And it was just this weird thing that happened, that when I just stopped worrying about it and stopped being so in it. It's got to work. It's got to work. I've got to make it work. You know, I'm a hard worker. I'm an intelligent woman. I can do this. You know, I just need to apply myself. When I stepped back and let go, amazing things happened.
Yes.
And that's when just opportunities just kept landing in my inbox or dropping in, or people saying, hey, have you thought about this, Caroline? Or, you know, oh, Caroline, my God, you know, you're so good at this part of affiliate marketing. That the technical side, my technical background, the campaign analysis, all the numbers side of marketing campaigns.
Yeah.
You know, that to me was easy because that was so closely aligned to the kind of stuff I used to do. But I got stuck on the writing emails and that kind of stuff. And who am I talking to? And the recording video ads is a big part of what I was doing. And I was getting so caught up in that. But I had all these skills, and somebody pointed out to me, oh my God, Caroline, you know, there's so many people who don't have those skills. They have all these other skills. There's a real gap there. You know, you could really help people with those skills. And I'm like, can I? Really? Yeah. And then somebody put me in touch with somebody, and I got a job working for a digital marketing agency, just running YouTube campaigns. And I was like, they want to pay me how much to do that? And I'm like, well, okay, I'll give it a try. And I went in just saying, look, you know, this is kind of what I've done, and this is what I've done. Yeah, that's brilliant. We just need someone to do that. And I'm like, these skills have some value, and people are going to pay me to do this. And I was like, wow.
It's like ding.
It was. And so I started, well, I need money, so let's give it a try. You know, I went in totally honestly and openly and said, we both said we'll give it a try. And I ended up doing that for 6 months. And that took a lot of the money pressure off. And I was like, right, okay. You know, this wasn't a full-time job. It only took me a few hours a week. So I still had the time. I'm like, right, okay, well, what else can I do? And I was also running a Facebook group for other members of this affiliate marketing. And I started coaching people with all the skills that I'd learned. And I started making a name for myself again around these skills. And people started approaching me saying, Caroline, can you help me with mine? You know, I just want to get started on YouTube. I haven't got, you know, I'm so busy. I think I've set everything up, but I don't know if I've done it right. I just need some reassurance. Can you just check it for me? And he said, I'm looking for somebody who can check it for me. And I'm like, oh yeah, if you ask a really helpful community, if you ask around, I'm sure this person is, they'll help you out. They'll have a look at it for you for free. It'll be fine. And he's like, no, I just want to pay somebody to do this. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm sure you can ask around. And then I was like, well, I could do it for you. And he's like, oh, brilliant, great. Can you do it? And I'm like, okay. And he's like, how much do you want? And I'm like, I don't know. and it literally, that's where it started. This was September last year. I did one job for one person in this community. He just, he thought I was the best thing since sliced bread. I just reassured him, gave him so much confidence in what he was doing. He told all his friends. And then I had other people, oh, Caroline, can you do it for me? And oh, Caroline, I hear you good at this. And that was it. And so I haven't marketed myself. I haven't promoted myself. It's just, I haven't been worried about it either. You know, I haven't been chasing the money. I haven't been chasing, I've got to do it in this way. I've got to achieve these goals. You know, it's got to be done in a certain way. And I've just kind of let it come to me, and it's grown and grown and grown. And
brilliant.
So, yeah.
So I think then two super important lessons that I heard that you said there. I think number one, when you found or you started going down the right path for you instead of the affiliate marketing path, which was kind of like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. It wasn't, you know, you wanted to create a result, you saw other people doing it, and you're like, well, I'm just going to do this too because that's what they're doing. And, you know, I'll use it as a way to replace my income, and then I'll figure out what the right thing is. So instead of going down that path, you found the right path for you, number one. And then number two, you said that you stopped like trying to force it, and you just kind of let go, surrendered basically. And then things just started happening. It was like suddenly progress is being made. Suddenly you're getting all these opportunities that are landing in front of you. And I think that is one of the key things that is often overlooked on this journey. So again, if you're watching this and you're thinking, well, all right, this sounds very interesting. It's awesome that Caroline's achieved this result, but there's so many different ways that I could do it too. Is it, you know, is the right way affiliate marketing for me? Is freelancing right for me? Maybe it's not. Is coaching right for me? Because Caroline, you've also mentioned you did a little bit of coaching with helping people with this kind of stuff. There's many different ways. And so what we've done in Scrap the 9 to 5 is we've created the path assessment, which is a free questionnaire that helps people just like Caroline identify what is the actual right path for me to replace my income, like uniquely me. So I'll put a button just below this video to take the path assessment for free if you want to find out if freelancing is the right path for you, or if there's another path for you to replace your income. And then, like Caroline says, if you're able to just begin that journey on the right path and also incorporate, you know, the lessons that Caroline shared about community, about not resisting, just kind of go through the process, and also getting clear about what it is that you want. Those are like some of the secret sauce ingredients, if you like, to creating success, creating the result. So Caroline, amazing. Now that you've got to this point, you've got people approaching you, you're doing something that is much more aligned with your existing skills. Let's talk about that for a second as well, the existing skills part. So when you, instead of trying to sort of force the affiliate marketing path, and instead of going, you know, and then deciding, well, I've got these existing skills, these are things that I'm good at, how can I apply these? How quickly were you able to start creating the result down the freelancing path by leveraging what you already knew? Like how quick did that happen?
Very quickly. Within, say, I think September, I had my first client, and by November, I was fully booked up with people coming at me. Literally, I was turning people away. Yeah, literally.
Wow.
And you know, I had done a bit of context. You know, I didn't just walk into this and say, right, hi guys, I'm this person. You know, I built up my reputation in the community by delivering value, by showing up. So there's this Facebook group that I ran, for example, every Sunday evening, I'd be showing up, answering people's questions, building authority, building credibility, building, you know, that know, like, and trust relationship, which I think is important for any business, especially when you're operating on your own. So you know, that sense of it wasn't, I wouldn't say, you know, it's 2 months and boom, you know, I'm off, but it was that work had led me to that point, and but also a lot of mindset work that I'd done as well about receiving. That was a big part for me. Was I'm very much a value giver. I'm very much, I want to do everything for everybody else, but it was allowing to receive, you know, that money, those opportunities, and being open to them when they arrive. I think we're also big things, but yeah, once it started, it just snowballed, but it felt right as well, and that was what was important to me.
Brilliant, good stuff. And how would you describe life now? So now that you've walked this journey, you've walked the path that's right for you, you've created a lot of the results that you initially wanted to create. Like, how would you describe life now?
Wonderful. No, it's ticked all the boxes, because, you know, when I came into this journey 2 years ago, I wanted a way to live life on my own terms, to work when I wanted, where I wanted, and as much or as little as I wanted, and have enough money to feel secure, but concentrate on experiences. And just put it in context, where I am right now, I'm at my mum and dad's this week. I'm staying here for a week, which is amazing because I've been locked down for so many months and haven't seen anybody. But the fact that I can just pick my laptop up and I've just come and I'm sat on the dining room table here in mum and dad's house, in my little office, and I'm carrying on working as normal. I work probably on average about 3 days a week on the stuff that generates income. And then the rest of the time I'm now investing in other opportunities, other ways. I'm actually now building a passion business as well, which is, having done a lot of deep work about what really, really lights me up, how I really want to work. I'm now building another business, which is going to run alongside this one. But I've also learned that I'm a people person. And so through this freelancing, I've tried, you know, lots of opportunities landed in my lap, and I've learned to say no to some of the ones that don't feel right and yes to more of the ones that do feel right. And now I'm building up long-term relationships with clients. I'm seeing them have success in their businesses, and that's just so fulfilling as well. So it's knowing that I've got something of value to offer the world, that, you know, it doesn't feel like work to me. I still struggle to stop working sometimes, because I just enjoy what I'm doing, and I want to help people, and I'm getting paid for it, and I'm here in the sunshine with my parents, you know, and you know, once I finish this interview, I might do some work this afternoon, or I might go and, you know, sit with my dad in the garden. You know, it's that to me, I would never have had that in the corporate world. You know, you chain to your desk and you've got to be there at a certain time and show your face, and you're measured on productivity and you're measured on numbers and things. Whereas now I measure myself on, you know, am I making people feel good? Am I getting them the results they want in their life? And am I living the life I want? And yeah, so far so good.
So replacing your income has enabled you to do a lot more of what you love, spend a lot more time with people that you love, and have the free time and flexibility to start putting your time into things like building things like a passion-based business that actually excite you and light you up. And that all comes from having that baseline of replacing your income from the right path for you, which is exactly what you've done. So amazing stuff, Caroline. It's really good to hear about your journey and just learn a bit more, or get a bit more context from you about how you actually went down that journey. Because obviously I know some of it already from how we know each other, we work together, but fantastic work. And thank you so much for sharing all of that today on this Champions Journey interview. I hope for anyone watching, if you're watching this, and you've been inspired by what Caroline's done, and you too are thinking, okay, I might want some of this, replacing my income stuff. It sounds good. It's going to help me to live the type of life that I would want as well. If that does sound like something you want to check out, then I would recommend clicking the button below, checking out the path assessment, which will help you figure out what is the right path for you, just like Caroline initially did, towards replacing her income. So Caroline, thank you. Appreciate you. I'll speak to you very soon, I'm sure. And to you guys watching, I'll see you on the next Champions Journey interview. Bye for now.